Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics. First, the highlights. President Muhammadu Buhari in Lagos to commission 650,000 barrels per day Dangote Refinery. Presidential election petition court resumes sitting with streamlining of witnesses by petitioners. Welcome to the program. I'm Melissa Nwoka in Lagos, where we begin with President Muhammadu Buhari inaugurating the Dangote Refinery, Africa's biggest oil refinery. The facility, Dangote Refinery and Petrochemical Complex in Lekki, sits on land that is more than 3 times the size of Victoria Island. It's a 650,000 barrels per day integrated refinery located in the Lekki Free Trade Zone area of Lagos State. The project, which cost an estimated $19 billion to build, is expected to generate 9,500 direct and 25,000 indirect jobs. Last week, the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited said it was set to supply 300,000 barrels of crude oil to Dangote Refinery. And some presidents from the African continent are also attending the inauguration taking place today, alongside President Muhammadu Buhari. We also have Vice President-elect who's representing the President-elect, state governors, members of the National Assembly, ministers, traditional rulers, captains of industries in Nigeria as well as abroad. Now, during his speech, CEO Mr. Aliko Dangote said the project will make Nigeria a key player in Africa and meet global demand. He also talked about the amount of investment, saying that it is a desire to support the federal government's sustained effort to be a respected member among economies in Africa. He said that he hopes that this will ramp up production in Nigeria and eliminate imports dependency and also stop dumping of substandard products. Or elsewhere, proceedings at the Presidential Election Petition Court began today with the streamlining of witnesses by the Allied People's Movement, APM. The party says it will be calling 1 witness and requested 3 days for the testimony. According to them, their star witness will take 20 minutes, while cross-examination 25 minutes, re-examination 5 minutes. Other witnesses to take 10 minutes each, 15 minutes for cross-examination and 5 minutes for re-examination. Counsel for the party says documents that will be relied on each parties have been exchanged. On his part, counsel for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says that the electoral body was not invited for the meeting between the petitioner and the respondents. He adds that INEC has only 1 witness and will need just a day to prove its case. The APC agreed substantially with the report of the petitioner and said it will need 5 days to call 1 witness. Counsel for Tinubu and Shetima, Akin Olujimi, says he will be calling 3 witnesses, with 2 to be subpoenaed, but added that he would need 4 days to put in his defense. On terms of cross-examination of star witness, he says he'll need 25 minutes. Mr. Kabiru Masari's counsel promised to call 1 witness and use 1 day for his defense. The APM also informed the court that it is not opposing the proposed consolidation of the 3 surviving petitions. INEC, on its part, says it is at the discretion of the court to decide how it goes. The electoral body insists it is taking a neutral stance on the subject of consolidation of these 3 petitions. We'll bring you more from the Election Petition Court as things unfold. Over in Abia State, the governor-elect, Dr. Alex Oti, has said that the mandates given to him by the people of Abia is sacrosanct, calling on the people not to be dismayed over the recent judgment of the Federal High Court sitting in Kano dismissing his candidacy. Dr. Oti made the remarks while receiving the report from the Abia Transition Council chairman in Aba, reaffirming that everything is going according to plan for his scheduled inauguration on May the 29th.
finance and finance.
Delays and they calling the previous aircraft by more than 4.
Thursday, very late, I got information that there was a court judgment in Khan, far away Khan, nullifying our election and then going further to stop the inauguration. So we waited for the judgment to come, and then we got it early hours of Friday. Going through it, there was really nothing new, and that's what I thought. The eternal vigilance is what is required when you have enemies around you. So I'd like to reassure you that the mandate that the Abia people gave us is sacrosanct. So nobody should lose sleep. We'll be sworn in on the 29th of May. And we'll complete our 4 years.
A professor of political science and currently research professor at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs has been speaking on the personalities of President Muhammadu Buhari and President-elect Bola Tinubu. Professor Tubanjo says that while President Buhari acted in part because of his military background, the President-elect is the opposite and hopefully will connect more with Nigerians.
Well, you know, the President-elect is a proper civilian democrat. The outgoing president is a military president, and he was a military president before, military head of state, and then became an elected president. But of course, there was no doubt that there was the culture, the psychology of the soldier was still in him in terms of his relationship with us. He didn't think that he needed to talk to us. That he didn't have to interact with us. It was when it was convenient for him that he did it. But we are talking of a thorough Democrat who had spent all his life building up constituencies, bridges across Nigeria, needed grassroots, goes to them and is built up, goes to neighborhoods to dance and eat. And so it's a different personality entirely. He's a more gregarious personality by virtue of his being a professional politician all his life. And so it's likely to relate to us, perhaps more, become more understanding of the problems of the people and more responsive to it.
Well, still talking politics, some members of the All Progressives Congress, the APC party under the aegis of the Conference of Concerned North Central Professionals, they're asking the incoming administration of Senator Bola Tinubu to reward the region with the office of Secretary to the Government of the Federation. The group made the demand at a roundtable in Abuja where participants spoke on the topic participatory democracy and the place of the North Central in Nigeria's political journey. Well, joining me to talk more about what's going on, the 10th Assembly, and also the clamour for zoning or not with regards to that, Mr. Ali Muhammad Ali, he joins me on the program for more. He has been a member of the Presidential Campaign Council of the All Progressives Congress that has been dissolved. We'd like to thank you for joining us on the program.
Well, thank you and good afternoon, viewers. Thank you for having me, Millicent. I'm glad to be here.
Great. So let's begin. Some stakeholders, civil society organizations, they fought at the nomination for candidates of leadership positions in the National Assembly. They're saying the party's imposing leaders on institutions. So they're worried that capacity, character, competence isn't being given priority. What's your response to that?
Well, if you look at it, given the position of the president-elect and the vice president-elect, the president-elect has always dwelled on competence, on capacity to deliver more than anything else. But also in doing that, you have to be mindful of the imperativeness of inclusiveness. You have to carry everybody along. And if you look at some of the people now jostling for the leadership of the National Assembly, I think they can hold their own anywhere, some of them. But then you also have to be mindful of the, like I said, of a lot of sensitivities and sensibilities. You have to carry everybody along. And that's why perhaps it has become very contentious. You have people who, from all indications, they have paid their dues, they're capable, they have the capacity to do the job. And that's why the parties settle on certain elements. Because first, they have the capacity and they are also reflective of the nature of the Nigerian state, that you have to carry everybody along.
But perhaps that's the party's decision. Do you think that, these actions, because we're looking at the bigger picture, what is in the best interest of Nigerians and the institution, which is the legislature under the National Assembly, is your party being democratic?
I missed that.
Is your party being democratic with this zoning decision?
Yeah, that's why, you see, it's work in progress. It's work in progress. What the party did is to actually give everyone a sense of belonging. And that's why it came up with this decision that certain positions will be zoned to certain places. And even actually micro-zoning to individuals. But then, people, it's work in progress. Nothing can be final, the way I understand it. I'm sure that the work in progress, and that's why the president-elect is meeting with the National Working Committee at about now. He's meeting with them, and part of the agenda is to also look at this position the party has taken considering the various offices in the leadership of the 10th Assembly.
Indeed, and more positions we're seeing by the day by numerous groups. We just read one saying that the position of Secretary to the Government of the Federation should be from the North Central. But then talk to us. Inauguration is just a few days away. There are a number of activities lined up. Talk to us about them.
Well, the days to the inauguration, a lot of activities have been lined up, and one of which is I think the Secretary to the Government, who is heading the Presidential
Transition Council.
Inauguration Council, I beg your pardon. Yes, he addressed the World Press Conference last Thursday, outlining some of these activities, which will commence in earnest by, I think, is it Wednesday? No, by Friday, with the prayer, the investiture. There will be also the symbolic passing of the flags and the colors leading to the final inauguration. By Saturday, by Friday, we'll begin with the usual. There will be prayers, and on Friday, on Saturday, there is another event, and on Sunday too, and finally culminating with the inauguration on Monday, May 29th.
Just before we let you go, should Nigerians expect any surprises? And this is as soon as the president-elect is sworn into office.
Of course. One thing I can assure Nigerians that is going to be slightly different. The president-elect, who eventually by May 29 will be the president, will hit the ground running. There won't be too much delays. There won't be too much anxiety. By now, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, some of the things. But I know that it's going to be slightly different. We're going to work at a very fast pace because the time is not on the side of the president. Like he promised big, and he's going to deliver big. from his Renew Hope agenda blueprint. We don't really have the time. We don't have the luxury of time. So some of these things are going to be sorted out. And that's why since he was declared president on March 1st, he has left no stone unturned, consulting, reaching out, making contacts, sifting through people who would help in achieving the goals, the lofty goals identified in the Renewed Hope and the APC manifesto. So there won't be too much delays. I assure Nigerians this.
Mr. Ali Mohammed Ali, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much, Millicent, for having me. Good afternoon, viewers.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Well, let's bring you an update from the Presidential Election Petition Court. We understand the chairman of the Presidential Election Petition Court, Justice Haruna Samani, has dismissed the application by the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party for live coverage of court proceedings. He says the application lacks merit. It was a unanimous decision, with the panel held that the order sought by the petitioner is outside the scope of the petition. Televising of proceedings is not provided for in any law. The court is created by the Constitution and operates under the law by the Court of Appeal. The court, it said, was created to hear and determine the petitions before it and cannot act as a vanguard. The undue pressure of allowing cameras into the courtroom should be avoided, as the impact it will have on witnesses cannot be predicated. The court is created to find out the truth and should be allowed to do so. We'll go on a break and come back with more. Stay with us. Welcome back to the program, and just a reminder of our breaking story. Chairman of the Presidential Election Petition Court, Justice Haruna Samani, has dismissed the application by the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party for live coverage of court proceedings. Justice Samani says the application lacks merit. In a unanimous decision, the panel held that the order sought by the petitioner is outside the scope of the petition. Televising of proceedings is not provided for in any law. It says the court is created by the Constitution and operates under the law by the Court of Appeal. The court was created to hear and determine petitions before it and cannot act as a vanguard. It says undue pressure of allowing cameras into the courtroom should be avoided, as the impact it will have on witnesses cannot be predicated. It says the court is created to find out the truth and should be allowed to do so. To other stories now. Ahead of the May 29th swearing in of the President-elect Bola Tinubu, Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State is urging him to ensure he assembles only people with capacity, character and track record of performance into his cabinet, irrespective of their political background. Governor Wike was speaking in Kaduna State at the public presentation of the book, The El-Rufai Years. The River State governor also weighed into the crisis rocking the ruling party over its zoning arrangement for leadership positions in the 10th Assembly.
Dignitaries from different parts of the country are seated inside the Umaru Musa Yaradua Hall in Kaduna State, attending a public book presentation titled Putting People First, The El-Rufai Years. Some of the guests attending the event include the Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, Governor-elect of Kaduna State, Senator Uba Sani, business mogul Prince Arthur Eze, who doubles as chairman of the event, traditional rulers, top government officials, and captains of industry. The chairman of the occasion and the book presenter, the Governor-elect of Kaduna State, highlights the leadership qualities of Governor Nasir El-Rufai, the man who he will be succeeding in a few days' time.
He's a straightforward human being. That's why we admire him. He helps you, he doesn't care where you come from, whether you're Igbo, Hausa, or you're Yoruba. He gives out.
My administration will build on the giant stride of the Governor Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai administration, creatively and innovatively further raise the bar of governance in Kaduna State.
Governor Nyesom Wike hails the honoree and the All Progressives Congress for their stance on power shift to the south. On his part, Governor El-Rufai highlights the political ideology he shares with his River State counterpart.
Governor El-Rufai was one of the APC governors who came out boldly to say, look, for the unity of this country, for this country to move forward, let the presidency go to the south. After all, he has all it takes to also say, I will fight for the president of this country.
The interesting thing is that everything he said about me also applies to him. We're exactly alike, unfortunately for Nigeria. We say it as it is. We don't care whose house is God. And we are both committed to doing what is right.
Ahead of the May 29th swearing-in of the president-elect, Governor Wike sets the agenda for the incoming administration and why the APC must get the National Assembly leadership right.
I think that the APC should see it for the interest of Nigeria. Let them respect the leadership of their party and the president to move forward.
The book, Putting People First, The El-Rufai Years, written by a Kaduna-based journalist, Emmanuel Ado, is a compilation of published articles and interviews focusing on El-Rufai's 8-year tenure as appraisal of his core values, mission, and achievement as governor of Kaduna State.
And lawyer to Peter Mba, governor-elect of Enugu State, Chris Ekemezie, says that all documents needed to verify his client's attendance to the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, are available as evidence. Mr. Ekemezie also explains that the Director General of the Corps has been served and is expected to appear in court. He was a guest on our political program, Sunday Politics.
As you know, when a lie is repeated over and over and over, people will begin to believe the lies are true and begin to act on it. Now, in early 2002, Dr. Peter Mba was duly called up for the national service. I have the call-up letter. He was asked to report at the NYSC permanent orientation camp at Ipaja, Lagos, for 7th of January 2002. He duly reported. And after the orientation, he was posted initially to the Nigerian Ports Authority. On getting to Nigerian Ports Authority, he was rejected. It's normal. In most cases, some people will always reject corpers sent to the establishment. He reported back to NYSC and told them that he's been rejected by the Nigerian Ports Authority. Then he was now posted again. He now scouted around for a place of primary assignment and got a law firm in Lagos, Ude and Associates, 25 Ball Street, Lagos. The law firm now wrote a letter to NYSC that if he's posted to the firm, he will be accepted. One thing I need to let you know is that if you look at that certificate, it is dated 7th of January. The reason is that immediately people enroll in NYSC, finish your orientation, and leave the camp, NYSC will begin to write all the certificates for the probable date of discharge. And the first letter of posting of Dr. Peter Mba stated that he will be discharged about 7th of January. So those certificates had been written earlier, but he did not pass out with his colleague, his set, during that period, because he was already in law school.
Also, more political stories. The candidate and his entourage visited Lagos, talking about the APC candidate Usman Ododo paying a courtesy visit to the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, to meet also the Kogi community as part of his activities lined up for consultations ahead of the governorship election in his state. Governor Sanwo-Olu held a private meeting with the candidate where discussions centered on winning the November 11 governorship poll. Elsewhere, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, says the Federal High Court Abuja last week ordered the federal government to account for the spending of $460 million Chinese loan to fund the failed Abuja closed-circuit television project. Justice Emeka Nwite made the orders when delivering the judgment in the Freedom of Information suit by SERAP, which followed the disclosure in 2019, while the Minister of Finance that Nigeria was servicing the loan stated no explanations on the status of the project. The rights group explains that's accounted for the spending of $460 million Chinese loan is in the interest of the public. And that's our program this afternoon. You've been served lunch this day. Thank you for watching. I'm Melissa Tumonka. Enjoy the rest of your day.